It is late September in 2021 and this is Moana in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. It is where the late Ian Hope began to create his unique and very personal British car museum back in the 1990s. Ian passed away in 2019 and sadly the property is now closed to visitors and is for sale. I was recently reminded of the time back in 2014 or perhaps 2015 when Ian told me he needed my help. It was bothering him that he didn't have any notes about the exhibits in his collection. Nobody would even know what was there, so he asked me if I would film some video for him to explain. Of course I agreed, and what follows is essentially a private tour around the buildings with Ian beside me pointing out all the items he wanted to explain and bring our attention to. It wasn't so much about the cars, as he felt many people would recognise all the models and know about them. His concern on that day was all the memorabilia he had accumulated, starting initially with family items like his first car, old photographs and his mother's handmade baskets, but growing in time to include all manner of now forgotten and obsolete items. Initially he was reluctant to speak on camera, preferring me to do it, but after a while his enthusiasm got the better of him and I'm pleased to say he took over, leaving me only to operate the camera and prompt him occasionally. Essentially I just followed him around letting him talk. As a result, this video is close to what you might have experienced if you had visited Ian's collection while he was still alive. He had a tale about every item in that place, and I'm very glad to have had the chance to record some of it for posterity. We can only hope a new owner who is interested in preserving Ian's legacy will come along to keep it all together as a fitting tribute to a remarkable man. What we've got here dating from 1931 or 1932, we're not quite sure, but this is the Hawke's Bay AA members register back from before they had computers. If I just open it you can see it's a very heavy book, and see inside we have details of the members and how much they were paying and when they paid it. This is a pump organ, still working. We think it's from about 1900. And here's another cabinet full of toy cars, models. Okay, we're now down on the ground floor, so you can see the stairs up to the mezzanine floor on the left. I'll just pan along this wall, showing us various pictures and assorted memorabilia. There in front of us is Ian's very first new car, the Mini. Up behind it, a collection of old wirelesses or radios. Going along, we've got road signs, number plates up on the wall there. Just continuing on down the wall, you can see all the number plates there on the wall. Some of these are going to be quite valuable depending on rarity, of course. Along the wall, really to the right of the entrance inside the museum, we have some tea towels here, and just panning down, Ian's telling me that this one here, it's called My Kitchen Prayer. His mum would have done all the crochet work that you can see around the edge here. It's all hand done. Just above those cloths here on the shelf you can see a collection of wicker trays, all made by his mum. Here, hanging along the entrance to the museum, there's a collection of jerrys or bedpans, which the more common among us might refer to as a piss pot. That would be me then. And then up on the right hand side, you see the lovely basket there, made by Ian's mum. This area is dedicated to Ian's mother. I was afraid I was going to use the wrong word then, which is why I hesitated. Lots of photographs and some personal belongings.
Right, well these are CB radios here that we used to use many years ago, and most of them are still usable, but we're not into that sort of thing now, which you don't see these days, that wooden ladder. Then going back along, there's some big squares, and all those small saws were donated by Mr. Frank Wade when he passed away. But the next two biggest saws, and he might just pop down a wee bit to this row here, because this saw here as well is what my dad and Uncle Albert used to use for cutting firewood out on Mokapeka Station, and then they had hundreds of cords at home when we were in Guthrie Road. Now those Peytoney riding signs, there used to be 6 ridings in the Hawke's Bay County, and Dad used to do the Peytoney riding. So when he retired and the council amalgamated with the Hastings City, I was able to go round and pick up all the riding signs. So round this building are the rest of the riding signs. Okay.
So there's Miani riding, Okawa,
Miani,
Heritonga, Havelock. Yeah, fantastic.
Roof racks up there, rear vision back windows, some car grills. If we come down to the next shelf, that came out of the ambulance that I owned, and we'll come back along again. Then if we come down onto this shelf here, oh well, we've already seen those, so I'm quite happy that they're all being shown.
Okay.
Now those are just all wheel trims and dress rings that go onto cars around their rims, so I save everything. Going on to this shelf, there's odd tyre pumps, timing lights, rear vision mirrors, and other little knickknacks that go onto cars, down to the no smoking sign. Yes, well there's some jerry cans. Now they're bigger ones, like sort of ex-army. Same right through to the end up there. Then there's these signs are just of different things that were for sale in those days. Coming down the centre shelf here, some lanterns. Just spotted some lunch tins there that Dad used to take his lunch in when he went to work, and in front of those 2 horseshoes and the kettle. Then there's some barber head shaving equipment, and there's the strops there, And there's also amongst the material there the actual leather strop, the shaven cutthroat razor. Right, well they're all telephones and that type of equipment. And here is tyre punching repair outfits from the early days. So there's a tyre spreader and all that sort of thing just there. And a couple of spark plug fittings that you put into a spark plug, and that plugs into your tyre as well to blow the tube up. Now this machine was donated by Colin Campbell, and you put a little slate in the bottom and it would come up on that screen, and so if it was a gearbox you were doing, it could be exploded as the complete thing on that screen. Now these car badges, just to let you know, they are in the vicinity of $30 to $35 at the moment each. So there's quite a few tied up in all the cars with badges on. Right, well, these are just some old new paper, used papers and things. But when I lift this up, in here, there's a Portland Weekly, or the Weekly News as they call it. And they're from 1937, when King George had his coronation. So there's about 6 or 8 of them in there, so just want them to be known that that's what's under there. So thank you for that one. In here are quite a few exhaust tail extensions, and they're all chrome. And I just bought a whole pile up thinking I'll have them in stock. And these are just some of my earlier model visitor cards that I give out. So that's that, thank you. Yes, turn around and behind you, mate.
Okay. Did you see one behind me this holder?
Oh, yes.
Like this one?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Put this straight wheel.
Start it first time. All right so far.